Hello, everyone. You are listening to another episode of Modest Tea, and this is your host, Taina Rivera Rosario. And today we are recording an episode in celebration of Modest Tea first year in the running. Okay, what?
Hey.
It's a lot of clapping. But yes, so Modest Tea is actually celebrating their first year. And as you can see, we have two special guests for this episode. And it is my cousins, my family, Cristal and Vanessa Montano Booth, because she's married. Vanessa's married. And it just felt right to have them come back on for another episode because they were the first ones that said yes to recording an episode with your girl. We didn't know what we were doing. Yes, I didn't know what I was doing. They were super nervous. Today they're still nervous. A year later, and we still in this, feeling the same way. But I'm super excited. I'm super amped because they already know that anytime we get together, whether it be virtually, in person, it's always gonna be a fun time. Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm just super excited. Cristal, Vanessa, how do you guys feel?
I am also excited, also nervous.
Okay.
Because, this episode's a little different from the first time, okay? It's a little spin-off. So instead of Taina asking the questions, the Montano Sisters will be asking the questions.
Woo! What?
Okay?
Yeah.
You've been doing interview on top of interviews, with other people, but I feel like people need to know who their host is. So
Okay, I'm a little nervous. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm a little scared because usually when I record an episode, whoever I invite, I try to give them the questions beforehand, right? So
right.
Yeah, so that they know, kind of like have an idea of what they're gonna get into. Well, Cristal and Vanessa, they did not do that. Okay. I mean, Cristal gave me like one question, I think. Like she was like, oh, this is like one question we'll ask or two. But that was it. So I literally have no idea what they're gonna ask. I'm just here. Okay. And
we're just going with the flow today.
We're going with the flow. Yes. So yeah, Vanessa, say hello.
Hi. I'm extremely nervous, but anything for Taina.
Oh,
No, and I just want to say, so I am very proud of you and what you are doing with Modest Tea.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. I honestly, honestly, like I feel like I haven't done much with it, but the fact that it's kind of still going, even if it's like little by little, piece by piece, yeah, that is something that it's nice. It's nice. I feel like I'm usually the type that kind of like will start something and then I'll get discouraged and I'm like, forget it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So you got to be proud of yourself, though. Like you got to feel,
I mean, yeah.
How do you feel? How does Taina Rivera Rosario feel
about the podcast?
Yeah.
I feel like it can be more than what it is. Right? But I just know that that's on me to kind of do that. Right? Like it's on me to make it more. It's on me to do more. But having a podcast and trying to like record episodes and edits and upload, and it's way more time consuming and work than
a lot of work.
Yeah, then I thought. I was like, oh, this is easy peasy, just like record and post. But it's not like that. So
Yeah,
and it's what estamos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Chris G, do you want to start?
No, I'm gonna let you lead, and then I'm gonna just.
Oh
Ebenezer.
god. Yeah, she's telling you, you go first, and then I'll go.
You're
Exactly.
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. One of the questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know that you've spoken a little bit when you first started this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
On like you've touched base a little bit on like why this was created, but can you kind of like elaborate and like to the new people who haven't
Yeah.
um tuned into Modesty, let the people know what is Modesty and how did Modesty come about?
Okay, that's a
Mm-hmm.
good question. So last year, I was at church, and it was a very I want to say it was like a simple message. And I say simple
Mm-hmm.
because it was uh the youth pastor for my church, Andres. He was preaching about the parables of the talents, los talento. And
Yes.
he was pretty much saying, like, what are you doing with what God has placed in your hands? Right. And as I
Mm-hmm.
was sitting there and as he's preaching, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what am I doing with what God has put in my hands? And honestly, I've always questioned it, right? Like, I grew up at the age of like 12. I was told that my calling was to preach. And I always kind of, I always wondered, like, okay, God, you want me to preach? You want me to share the gospel, but how? In what way? Right? Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
missionaries, there's evangelists, there's pastors, there's you name it. Right. And I was like, in what way do you want me to do that? And
Right.
when he was preaching that day, honestly, I was like, yo, okay, I feel like God has given me a talent, and low key, I've
Mm-hmm.
been like enterrándolo, like I've just been digging it
Yeah.
in the ground. Um, and so when he presented that question, it was like, what are you doing with what God has given you? I was like, okay, all right.
It was like a wake up call.
Yeah. And I took that as a, because you know what, honestly, people have told me, Taina, you should create a podcast. Taina, you should do a vlog. Taina, you should do something like people will watch. And I've always doubted it, right? And even to this day,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, this is kind of a waste of time. Like, ain't nobody gonna listen, ain't nobody gonna watch.
No.
Um, but that day I was like, you know what, it doesn't even matter. So I along that journey and process, I met new friends, right, through mutual friends, and they have a podcast, which I don't know if you guys have seen them. Um, one of the a few of the guys were actually on the poll that I posted on Instagram of who would be on Modest T on the episode, which was Paniel, Juan Dique, and Melky. And Melky and Samuel, and I think, well, actually, all of them, they are part of this podcast called Espacio Podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
not to lie, they kind of helped me begin the actual recording and stuff like that. It was literally on my
Really?
phone. Yeah, it was on my phone. They told me about an app, and I only knew about the app because they had invited me on an episode of their podcast, and that's how it started. I don't have all the equipment. I don't have like this huge office. I'm literally in my room. So,
Mm-hmm.
and here's the funny thing, that when Modest T podcast, before it became a podcast, was actually a different thing. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Mm.
remember.
Yeah, so I had created a Modesty account, but it had nothing
Yes.
to do with like testimonies or stories. It has to do with like modest clothing, right? So I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna like upload outfits and stuff like that. But to be honest, I don't even got that much clothes to be posted. Like, the outfits. Like, I wear the same stuff often, right? Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, when Andres was preaching and that came to mind, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna create the podcast and I'm gonna name it Modest Tea. But my original thought was to the original like thought of Modest Tea was to share stories of the Bible, right? It
Yeah.
was to give people the tea, but the biblical tea,
Right.
right? You know, something that
Mm-hmm.
would edify them. And the whole thought process of that was like to kind of create it where it was like, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Era como la bochinche, but like, yo, did you hear about this? You know, did you hear about this
Yeah.
guy and how,
Mhm.
you know, he treated this woman or whatever? And it will be a story from the Bible.
From the Bible.
Wow.
Right. So that was the original thought. But then when I created it and I don't even honestly, I don't even know how it went into like having people come on and sharing their stories, right?
Yeah.
Sharing their testimonies. And I feel like that's kind of like the route or the route that it has kind of taken. Um
Mhm.
so yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like, first of all, when you came out with Modesty, like I was like your number one fan.
Yo, for real. Seriously though, Cristal has been like from the get-go, like from the jump. And Vanessa, I know she's more private about stuff, but like I know from the back, she's been like there. But
Yes.
Cristal, like when she had her Facebook, she was like posting and go follow this and go here. And I'm just like,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we are we are loving like this podcast and what you're doing with it. And
Mhm.
we've heard some of like some really good testimonies on here. And I want to say one of my sorry y'all, one of my favorite episodes
That's okay.
was it's the lady from your church, oh gosh, where she was traveling, but era como like God was protecting her as she was traveling to
Oh,
Canada.
Johanna, yeah. Yep.
Johanna,
She was,
that testimony is
yeah, bro,
great.
it's like a movie. Her testimony is like a
Mm-hmm.
movie. She was literally escaping from where she
Mm-hmm.
was from originally. And like literally as she describes her story, it's like God made her invisible. Like
Yes.
if you hear her testimony, she literally had to climb the wall. Like climb
Wow.
the wall with her two kids. One was 3 and I think the
Mm-hmm.
other one was 6. They had to
Mm-hmm.
climb the ladder to go over the wall
Mm-hmm.
to get to Canada. That's
So
crazy.
Wow.
it's like it's like stories like that though that
Hmm.
people need to hear. So
Yes.
we are loving Modesty, okay?
Thank
Mhm.
you.
So that takes me into my next questions.
Okay.
Where what do you have in store for Modesty now that we're entering into a new year?
Um, I feel like with this anniversary, it's almost like if we're entering into season 2 of
Yeah.
Modesty, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm being honest, I don't think that I've thought that far into it. Like I I want to be able to create more content, right? I want to be able
Yeah.
to create things that will kind of draw people in, and not really so that they can listen to my podcast or whatever, but even just bits and pieces, like a clip or two, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or even Spotify. Um, Pieces that people can relate, right? But what am I thinking with the podcast right now is kind of keep doing what I'm doing, but I want to really talk about topics that are relatable not only to people but mainly to Christians, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
that's kind of my whole goal is to
Okay.
continue to bring people on, and even if I don't bring people on, allowing God to minister to me and guide me to discuss
Mm-hmm.
things that are going to be relatable to people listening, to people that are serving Christ,
All
right?
right.
But
Mm-hmm.
if I can I give you something specific right now, like, oh, starting June we're gonna launch this, and probably not. But you
Yeah.
know I haven't completely put the podcast on the back burner, which I think is important. So
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Why you got some ideas? Y'all got some ideas on what we can do?
I'm saying,
Wait, I got a
like
question
I
for
don't know.
Vanessa though.
Go ahead.
Vanessa, what's your favorite episode?
My favorite episode.
She's like, I ain't listened to none of them. I just
No, because there's quite a few, but I think one. I think it was Shirley's.
Ooh, which one? Was
Yeah.
it the one about her boyfriend or the one about
No,
missions?
the one about missions.
Interesting. Why is that though?
Um, honestly, and before we like get into like other stuff, there was another one too, and I think they were a couple.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I've had Andres and Jency, where that one's about the wife, how she used to be really bossy, you know, and she had to learn how to submit and what that meant as a Christian woman.
Mhm.
And then there was
Right.
another couple, Joseph and Emily, where they talked about how God changed their life from Colombia to Canada. Um,
I think it was the first one.
the
The first
oh, the
one.
first one with Andres and Jency. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But also I want to say, like, um, there would be times,
Excuse
right?
me.
Like you would put out an episode, and I'd be like, "Oh, I gotta listen to this. I gotta listen to this," and I wouldn't get to it until like a week later, and then when I listened to it, it was something that I needed.
Mm,
Stay
You know what
here.
I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah, to hear and like edifying to me.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just yeah.
See,
That's
Taina, this is why you
yeah.
got to keep doing what you're doing, because although sometimes you feel like, okay, where is this going?
Hmm.
I mean, hello, it's
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's going somewhere, even if it's touching like one or two lives, it's
Hmm.
doing something, So
That's true. Yeah, that's
keep
true.
it up, girl.
Yes.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. Oh man. All right. What's the next
so,
question?
so like, I guess like we just want to ask you like, who is Taina? Do the
Hmm.
people know who Taina is? Like, it's so hard to talk about yourself too.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, can y'all say who is Taina and I'll just listen? I'm for real though. Why y'all laughing?
Stop.
Next question, please. Just
We gonna cut this part out.
I
next.
think the people want to hear a little bit of Taina's testimony.
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Just a little bit.
Um.
It don't gotta be too much.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like obviously this is a Christian podcast.
Mhm.
So were you always raised in church, in this faith?
Mhm.
Is it something that you just like hopped into, like, or you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. So yeah, I was born and raised in church, right? Like I don't know. I don't know anything else outside of what it is to serve God.
Right.
Um. And I grew up at some point thinking that that wasn't really a grand testimony, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of belittle it because I'd be like, wow, I don't have a testimony of like how God saved me from drugs or alcohol or,
Right.
the parties or the world. And uh, I felt like I really had nothing to share or nothing to give. And it wasn't until my pastor from Buffalo, Pastor Javier, one, from the altar one time, he had mentioned how, what do you mean? Like, to serve the Lord your whole life, to not know the world, to not have taste of the world, that is the
Oh my
greatest
God.
testimony that
It
you can
is.
give someone, that you can share. And from that moment on, I was like, you're right, Pastor.
Mm.
You're
Okay.
right.
Mhm.
Like,
True.
because honestly, like, there's so many people that they want to serve God and they have that desire, but the struggle with their flesh and the things of the world is so much more stronger, and it's not easy to serve God, right? It's not easy to deny your flesh. It's not easy to deny
Baby,
yourself.
no.
You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? And
Yes.
to be able to make it to almost 32 years of living, right?
Mm.
Um and to say that, yeah, I've been serving God my whole life, that's truly an honor. It's a blessing, it's a
Yeah.
privilege. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, to anyone that's listening, I would say, like, listen, it's hard, it's not easy, but it's worth it and it's not impossible, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's to serve the Lord is possible. Um
Mm-hmm.
it's just how do I say it? Because a lot of people, like, they look at that and they're like, oh, you've been serving God, so you must be, oh, tú eres una santa, que si esto, lo otro, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that's just not true. Like, y'all know how many
Yeah.
times I've slipped up, I've messed up, I've struggled with lust, I've struggled with so many things. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those things very, like, private, right? Like, the only one that would
Yeah.
know was God, and maybe,
Hmm.
whatever. But um what I've come to kind of how can I be successful in serving the Lord? Right? How can someone be successful in serving the Lord? Um, it's not about, um, yeah, going to church is one thing, right? Like you should be
Right.
congregating somewhere. You should
Right.
have a home church, right? You should have someone that you consider and call your pastor, someone that's shepherding you, discipling you. That's number one.
Right. Right.
Someone that struggles with authority finds that difficult to do, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want someone to tell me what to do. But
Mm-hmm.
Right.
it's almost hypocritical because you go to work and you have a boss, you have a supervisor. Anywhere you go, there's going to be someone that's going to either instruct you, guide you,
Right.
direct you. Um, so I would say that's kind of key, right? Like have somewhere where you call home, where you congregate, and you fellowship. That's another thing. Fellowship is so important. Why? Because you're creating communion and connections with people that also have the same values
The
and
same.
same
Yeah.
desires as you do,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
want to live for God, I want to live for God. You want to grow in Christ,
Right.
I want to grow in Christ. You know,
Right.
Yes.
but what
So you
happened
help each other.
exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So and then another thing too is like how are you feeding yourself spiritually, right? Are you constantly filling your because the Bible talks about like your eyes, right? What you consume through your eyes and things like that. And
Yeah.
and again, not perfect in this, not saying that I don't watch TV, I don't go out, I don't whatever, right? But another thing that is very important is how you are feeding your spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say, "Oh my gosh, I've been struggling," and then you ask me, "Well, when was the last time you prayed?" And I say a week ago,
Yeah. Come
Right.
on now, baby.
right? When was the last time you opened your
Mm-hmm.
Bible to see, what God has for you? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We can't expect to be, I, for lack of a better term, successful Christians if
Mm-hmm.
we are not putting in our part, right? Because
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
the grace of God is
Huh.
you know
Baby.
to speak about that is I don't really have any words, right, to speak
Word.
about
Yeah.
God's grace because it's te deja sin palabra, but we cannot take advantage, like the Apostle Paul said, of God's grace, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you would say that's kind of like my testimony, right? Like I don't know the world. I've
Mm-hmm.
struggled with certain temptations, yes, because that's a part of life. But yeah, I've been
Mm-hmm.
born and raised in church. Thanks to my parents who kind of led the way, for me and my brothers
Mm-hmm.
to serve Christ, even though my older brother right now he doesn't serve God, but
Yeah.
he knows the word and things like that. But yeah, I mean, that's my testimony like summed, right? Like who's Taina ish a
Yeah.
little
Now,
bit.
would you say besides your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have other mentors that helped you in your walk with God?
100%. Pastor Javier, right? Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
I feel weird even saying like Pastor Javier because I've always just called him Pastor.
Pastor.
But yes, the pastor who is now in Puerto Rico was also played a huge part. Bruni played a huge part um, in my walk with Christ, right? I think that the pastor always kind of man of God right there, right? Like he
Yeah.
was just always connected with the Lord in prayer, in scripture, and read like everything. And he, when if he would see something in you, he would work
Mm-hmm.
that, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
for me, like I said, right at the age of 12, he's the one that kind of informed me about what my calling was. And I can truly say that he did mold me into who I am as a Christian, right?
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to reading the word, when it comes to the knowledge that I have, glory to God, which I'm not gonna say I'm
Mm-hmm.
a theologian or I'm ask me whatever you want and I'm gonna have an answer, because it ain't like that
Yeah.
either. Um, but yeah, he was a huge help for me, for my parents, and I'm pretty sure that
For a lot
there's
of us.
yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, like It's like we didn't really know what we were doing, and he kind of like helped us, especially my family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with them, and
Right.
we just learned so much from them and what it is to walk as a Christian, talk as a Christian, how to conduct ourselves. And when you're growing up, you look at these things like, oh my gosh, it's so strict. Oh my gosh, you're so we can't do nothing. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. But then when you get older, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I needed that. I needed that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm so proud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud that I was brought up that way, you know.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. There's probably other
It's
people
like
too, but like go ahead.
when we were younger, mama used to be like, you're gonna thank me for this later.
Yeah.
Or when you become a mom, you're gonna go through this and da, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Um so it's the same way.
Yeah, it's like true what they say, like, oh, you don't understand now, but you're gonna understand later. And
Yeah.
you know, when you're in the now, you're like, oh, whatever, like, you know what you're talking about. But then when the later comes, you're
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
Man.
sheesh, they sure were right. Like, they
Okay.
weren't kidding. Okay. But
Hey.
yeah, no. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What's
Chris, you
next?
got any questions?
Um, 1 second.
So while she's looking, right?
Hmm.
Um, I guess what difference do you see in your spiritual life from maybe 2 years ago until now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Also, I'm gonna get into that. You want me to get into that? That's a whole episode, a whole other episode. No, honestly, what are we in 2025? So 2 years ago, wow. I'd say that 2 years ago I was really going through it,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
But like really going through it. Like I was dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety. Like
Mhm.
I've never anxiety. Like
Can I pause you for like 2 seconds?
go ahead.
So, very first episode of Modesty was obviously me and Vanessa, and it was a but God moment.
Right.
So, would you say that this is a but God moment coming on right now?
Yeah, yeah, I guess you could say that. I
Yeah.
guess what is it? Bugger
Okay.
Bar 2? Just kidding. But yeah, no, so 2 years ago, like I was really going through it. You know, I was like I said, stress, anxiety, um,
Mhm.
to the point where like I was literally having these anxiety attacks where I would be on my bed, barely breathing, face and body numb, and I
Wow.
felt like I was in a blackout. Like that's how bad
Hmm.
it was, right? And
Hmm.
I don't like saying this out loud, but when you look at it, it's the reality of it. Depression,
Right.
right? I don't
Yeah.
like
mm,
saying. Maybe it's a pride thing where I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to say that I dealt with depression because that, and then I'm weak and I'm a coward and I'm this and I'm that. Um,
Right.
and you would think like as a Christian, I shouldn't be dealing with depression, like, but I was. It was dark. It was dark.
Yeah.
I would cry, like at night. I didn't know what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. I know I didn't want to leave Christ, right?
Hmm.
That's not that wasn't there.
A thought. Hmm.
But there were a lot of dark thoughts, right?
Hmm.
Um and those dark thoughts led to like conversations that weren't good.
Hmm.
They led to thoughts that were not good, you know. Obviously, right? And they just led to like examples and behaviors that weren't good. Um
Right.
And so, yeah, I was going through it about 2 years ago. I had a conversation with my parents about certain decisions that I was thinking about making. Um, and the decisions that I had in mind were obviously very serious, very kind of, I'd say like life changing.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and I think that added on to how I was feeling. And I just didn't understand. I didn't understand what was happening. I would cry to the Lord. I would talk to God. And it got to a point where some people at church would be like, "Are you good? Like, are
Mm.
you okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." Or
Yeah.
like, "Are you good?" Or I'd be like, "No, I'm not." And then like just keep walking, right?
Yeah.
Um, and usually people that know me, they kind of know me like Taina's like always so like
I
loud
was
and
gonna say,
funny
so
and
you were almost kind of
silly
like
and
shutting people out almost.
right, yeah. And
Mm.
at the time I had lived in an apartment with abuelo, right? Like it wasn't like I was with my parents and my brothers, no. It was just me and my grandpa, well, our grandpa, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you guys know like abuelo, he was like always in his room, right? It's not like he would be
Yeah.
like in the sala, in the dining room. No, he was always in
Mm.
his room. He had his own little thing over there. So like
Mhm.
I felt like I was just by myself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 2 years ago. There were some things that happened. Did I go to? I went to Guate a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
No, it
I
wasn't
feel
last
like
year. It
it's
was
been
2 years
two,
ago. It was two.
2 years ago.
What? No, no, no. It
Wow.
was almost 2 years ago. It's been a year and some change, right? Okay,
Okay.
so but still 2023, I think it was.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah. So like I said, I was going through some stuff, trying to figure out what to do, making life decisions, all these things, and I say this and it's okay. Like some people don't believe me when I say this, but I sought God in prayer and there were certain things that was said to me where I was like, God, if this is you, you need to tell me again. Because me
Yeah.
myself was like, there's no way I'm gonna make this decision. There's no way I'm taking this step by myself. There's just no way. And
Right.
yeah, like God would speak to me. And I always had a witness. It was the same witness that was present. Each time God would speak to me, the same witness was
Mm-hmm.
there. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
even if I try to lie, there's someone that knows what happened, right?
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, there's no way. I'm not doing it. I'm good. I'm gonna stay where I'm at, whatever. And I had went on a mission trip to Guatemala, and it was like that last moment. I was like, God, you know what? I'm gonna stay where I'm at. I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing, and that's it. Like I'm not going nowhere. Like I'm stay put. And
Right.
when I was on this mission trip,
Chemical imbalance.
You sound like me earlier.
And you
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
okay,
Anyway.
rewind. Okay,
we gonna
so
cut that out.
what was it? Yeah. Okay,
I'm
so
done.
I was on this missions trip in Guate, and this one lady came up to me. We were all in a prayer circle, um, and she like spoke to me and said a few things, and that's when I was like, okay, like I got to make a decision. I got to go home. I got to talk to the people that are in front and just do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I made the decision. I did what I had to do. I did what I felt the Lord was leading me to do, right?
Right.
It's not what I had to do or not had to do, but what I felt like I felt the Lord was leading me to do, and I did it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But just because I did that doesn't mean that everything got better. I felt better. I was good. No,
Right.
no.
Right.
Last year was probably the year that I felt the loneliest.
Wow.
Okay. I felt the loneliest and I felt like I was losing everything. Okay. I lost friends that I grew up with. Um, a part of me sometimes even feels like I lost family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just talking about, Abuelo's passing, but that was another thing, like Abuelo passing away. And
Yeah.
I was
Bruh.
like, what is happening? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so this like I was having this back and forth with God, and I'm like, Lord, like I feel alone, and I feel like, if I made the right decision, that I shouldn't feel this way, right? And I was going through a moment where I'm like, did I make the right choice? Did I make the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? Lord, are you happy with me? Are you pleased? Like, please speak to me, because sometimes you feel like God's not listening, like he's just quiet.
Right.
And you're over there like,
Mhm.
oh, Lord, please, like, talk to me, talk to me. I need to hear from you. And it's just like,
Yes.
Mom. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
so that's kind of like where I was. And I spoke to a close friend of mine and I was like, listen, I said, I feel this way. I feel that way. I feel like I don't know if God's pleased with me. And, she was asking me questions. Well, do you feel like you're wrong? Do you feel like you're this, you're that? And I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, well, just pray. And
Mhm.
I was praying, and this is the church, we had a camp last year. I think it was last year. Yeah, last year we had a camp,
Yeah.
which Cristal was actually there. And before that camp, I like spoke to the Lord and I was like, Lord, if we're good, and you're pleased with me, with the decisions that
Mhm.
I've made, okay, up till
Mhm.
this point, to this day, I need to hear from you. And I said, I want you to speak to me during this camp. Okay.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know how, I don't know through who, but I
Mhm.
would like to hear from you. And then
Mhm.
a part of me during that week like doubted. I'm like, okay, you know what, God, like I know I'm not gonna hear from you, whatever. But the preacher that was invited, Ebenezer, God ended up using him to speak to me. Okay, the second day of camp, and again, Cristal was there, and she heard the whole thing. And
Okay.
my whole thought was, God, are you pleased with me? Are we good? And the way that he ended what he was speaking to me, and it was stuff that like he does not know me. He did not know me at the time. He didn't know anything about me, but he was saying stuff um that had to do with me. Like it was like
Right.
specific, right? And the way he ended it was, you know, the part when Jesus gets baptized and the Father says that he is pleased, right, with his son, like that's how it
Mhm.
ended, with him
Mhm.
saying how the Lord is pleased
Was
with his
pleased.
daughter. Yes. And that right there, I was like, Lord, what?
Girl.
Like don't play with me right now. Don't play with me. And
Mhm.
that same year I went on another retreat. It was a worship retreat. And this woman that was from way deep from Canada, she was like special guest. Like she really don't know me, okay? Nobody there
Right.
knew me, okay?
Mhm.
And we were talking, we were sharing some of our experiences and things like that, and she's praying, and we're like in a prayer circle, and she like puts her hand on my knee and she's like, the Lord is pleased with your obedience. And I was like,
Wow.
wow.
God is so good. He's so good.
Yeah. So I'd say from there until now, like I've still, the Lord also like liberated me from a number of things.
Mhm.
But up until till this day, right? I still struggle with certain things, right? Certain thoughts. But are we where we used to be 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
No, no.
Would you say that this process, over the last couple years, has has your faith grown in the Lord? Have you been able to trust God more?
Um, wow. Sometimes I feel like my faith hasn't grown, right?
Mhm.
Like I feel like I'm hanging by a thread
Mhm.
because my life has been so like in a way unstable,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm still trying to figure out. I'm like, Lord, where do you want me,
Mhm.
and what do
Mm.
you want me to do? I'm not here to try to like toot my own horn or anything, but like I've had people reach out to me and they've said like, Taina, like so proud of you. I can see you look so much happier. You look like you're doing good. Y tú estás
Mhm.
como que brillando, que I see Jesus in you. Not that they didn't before, right? Um,
Right.
but they've messaged me to say these things, right?
Mhm.
So, but when it comes to my faith, I'm like, yeah, y'all see that? Y'all feel that way? I don't. I feel like that I'm getting to know God differently.
Yeah.
Um than from what I knew him growing up, if that makes sense.
It does.
It does.
And so I'm the type of person that I deal a lot with kind of like doubt, like self-doubt.
Yeah.
And doubt and faith don't really go hand in hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this journey, in this process, I've come to realize that it really is just it has to be God leading me and directing me, because if you would ask me, I don't know where I'm going right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mhm.
Lord, I'm just taking it day by day. I'm praying, hoping that you guide me, you lead me, and that wherever it is that you're trying to take me, I'm gonna get there.
Exactly.
Right? So,
And honestly, I feel like that's all
yeah.
we can do is just take it day by day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ain't nothing else we
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
Day
Girl.
by day, one step at a time.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So,
okay.
you know.
Okay. So we've
Yeah.
talked a lot about, like, faith, your testimony, podcast. But like, what about Taina? Like, like what are some
No, I don't know.
what are some of Taina's like favorite things to do?
I don't know.
China loves donuts,
Oh,
sweets.
Paula's Donuts.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I love me a good donut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I have an issue when people are like, you got to try these donuts. They're so good. They're the bomb. They're wow. And then I try it and I'm like,
Mm.
Yeah.
why do you lie? Why do you lie, bro? Like,
Arrepiéntete.
they okay. Yeah, chuletón. Okay. Like, now, if y'all know about Paula's Donuts, okay, we ain't sponsored here,
I was
but
gonna
Paula's
say.
Donuts right now to me is the best donuts. Okay. Okay. Period.
Period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Agree.
ain't no Krispy Kreme, ain't no Mighty Finds. Mighty Finds ain't bad, but still, are they bad?
No, no. But
Okay.
when you remember that one time? No, we off topic, but you you brought me a little snack.
A little snack. It was like a box.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah, mate. You and mate. He was like mighty fine. I was like, I can't
Mm,
agree. I can't.
might just don't want to admit that is better. Okay,
Uh-huh.
because when you are pop poop, pop pop.
hey.
When y'all came here, right? When you guys were in Buffalo, and I had bought the box.
Mhm.
I gave him a piece, and he was trying to act like he ain't like it. Like I was like, bro,
Girl, he
Yeah.
was fronting.
He
yes, hardcore.
liked
Like,
it.
and then it was a original honey glaze donut.
It
Okay,
was the best.
Mhm.
Paula's Donuts, the honey glaze is enough for me.
Mhm.
Okay, it's enough. The cheese Danish, the bomb. The
Mhm.
Bavarian cream, heavy. Okay, like the what is it? The donut hose,
Oh,
bomb.com.
Yeah.
Okay, like
listen,
y'all wanna make me happy, bring me some Paula's
Paula's Donuts.
Donuts. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
She ain't asked not one question so far since this thing started. She looked at her notebook like she was like,
Because honestly, my lovely sister Loki took my question.
Oh,
oh.
but you know what? My big sister said leave, so I'm
Mhm.
leading. You know what I'm
So
saying?
she really,
Okay.
yeah, she really, I'm cool
Yeah.
with
Just being here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's here for
And I'm
more
cool.
support.
Yes. I'm cool with you just being here. Right. Honestly though, your guys' episode, some people like they were really touched by your guys' episode. Right?
Wow.
Really?
Especially like just both of y'all testimony. Like Cristal, your testimony, excuse me, about being in a domestic violence relationship. You know, some people can look at you and they would never know that you experienced that.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
Vanessa testifying on how she was on pills, bro.
Mhm.
She said it, and how the Lord healed her from her sickle cell. Like
Amen.
just all of that. Even looking at Vanessa, you would have never known, because like y'all just so like in your own world type thing. And I don't mean like in your, but like you're private about your life, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when people see you, like they see you, right? But like people heard that episode, and like for example, Mom, she heard your testimony, Cristal, about, you know, all that, and she was crying. And I think Papote was like, I didn't know all of that stuff. Like, you know,
Yeah.
he was so mad. That's not
Yeah.
the kind of reactions we want to get
Yeah.
Yes.
from episodes, right? But it's just to say, like, it's crazy, you know, the kind of life, like what people are living behind closed doors that you have no idea about. Because when they're out in public, they either got a smile on their face, they're trying to
Exactly.
make you feel better, they're trying to take
Mhm.
care of you. Um, but the fact that y'all went through that, y'all experienced that, that's just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's crazy.
God.
Um,
God is good.
Yeah.
Honestly.
all the time.
Yeah.
Don't know
And
what
even
I
people
would
were
do.
like, yo, bring them back. Like, we need to hear the rest of the story. We need to hear the rest of the testimony. And it's just like, I even had a girl reach out to me one time, Chris, and she said how she experienced the same thing that you experienced.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, and how she, you know, she really resonated with that episode. And I
Yeah.
was like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay, wow. Y'all testimony was good. The episode was good. Um and honestly, it was good. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well, I'm glad that, you know, because I ain't want to do
you didn't
it.
want to
No.
record that first episode?
Listen,
Yes.
do
You
you know how
so
scared I was?
nervous. Yeah. Especially like Cristal, she could flow. She could, but me,
I
it's so hard for me to like find my words, like to like really give detail and like
You know what's
it's
crazy
hard.
is that I feel the same way Vanessa feels. Like I feel like I struggle sometimes on like how to just like talk, flow, whatever.
yeah, same.
I always say that I am. Oh my gosh, Moses.
Slow.
You know when Moses was like, Lord, I can't talk.
Bro, I said slow and you're like Moses.
Yeah, yeah. And Taina, you have to edit that. I was like, take that out.
Oh,
I always
Take
I'll
feel.
that.
see. I'll see what I can do.
Oh my god.
I always feel like that. Like I feel like Moses don't know how to talk. So I don't know what Chris we
No,
talk
I be
about.
feeling like that too, though. I ain't even gonna lie. I be feeling like that. Like,
Mm,
not
And
the great speaker.
Taina, that's crazy because you're the most outgoing person I know.
yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that when it comes to speaking, like, I don't flow easily. Like,
Yeah.
I just be saying stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. But
I
no.
don't have gathered thoughts, or I don't
Yeah.
have like, this is part one, part two, part three. Like, nah. Mm, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we all on the same page then.
Must be a Rosario thing.
You know what I'm saying?
You know? Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
But is that it?
Um, out of curiosity, not going on over there.
Like my love life?
Yeah, let the people know.
Um, I am as single as they come. I I thought there was some sort of connection at some point with somebody, and you know, it just didn't work out. No bad blood though. Still care for the person. But it just didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
So right now it's just me, myself, and I.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. Like I back then, like younger version me would be so like, oh my gosh, Lord, like where's my husband? I want a boyfriend. I'm so alone. But right now I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just chilling, man,
Yeah.
and I'm I'm cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, my love life right now is non-existent, but que sea lo que Dios quiera. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know some of y'all pray too, like, Lord, bring her a husband, please.
I think every
Bless
year we be
her.
like, this gonna be Taina year.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the problem. I think that's
I
the
think
the
so.
root.
Yeah.
You know, people saying that it's like they're jinxing it. Like,
Yeah.
Taina's gonna be your year.
Hmm.
I need y'all to
To
be like,
not.
Taina, this is not your year.
Yeah.
And then God's gonna be like,
This the.
I have the last word. You know what I mean? So it's funny because last year I was like, Lord, by December 31st, 2024, you're going to present to me my husband. And he was like, joke's on you, sweet
You.
cheeks.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. And I was like, I thought I was doing something, Lord. I thought I was. Um, Pero ahora estamos tranquila, leaving that prayer stuff to my mom. She praying for all of us,
All
bro.
of us.
She be praying for even just people she don't even know.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I'm trying to be like that when I get older.
You
You
know
know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying?
But yeah, so I just do me. I wake up and I work and I go to church and yeah,
That's that's literally my life though.
yeah. I'm not mad about it though. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not mad about it. I like it.
Yeah.
I I love serving the Lord.
Yeah.
I love being a Christian. Whether people want to think that I am or not, that's them, you know, but I know that who I serve. Like
Amen.
I know who I serve, who I praise, who I pray to, who I it's God, man.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I love I love the Lord and I'm just so thankful for everything that he has done in my life so far. I'm thankful
Amen.
for everything that he is doing and I'm really just trying to I'm trying not to dwell so much in the things that I have no control over.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to dwell so much on things that I don't understand and I'm just trying to, you know, just be like, "Okay, you know what, God, like if you say you got me, right? Like if
Period.
you say, you know, if you say that you're doing something, then I'm just going to believe that you're doing something."
Hmm.
So, but yeah.
Okay. So first of all, happy anniversary to Modest T.
Woo, woo, woo. We made it to a
Hey.
year. We made it to a year. All right, so as you can see, it's just me by myself. We have been having some technical difficulties. And so Crystal and Vanessa literally just disappeared, like they fell out of the call. So thank you if you've made it this far for watching, for tuning in, and thank you for being a part of Modesty's anniversary, first year anniversary. We love y'all. So bye.